What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bible study stream. This is our fourth night in a row doing this. I'll turn my music a little bit. This is our fourth night in a row doing this. I actually have become where I'm pretty pumped to do this. I've got the live chat up in the stream. So if you want to chat, if you want to say hey, definitely share that in the comments on Facebook. That's where I'm at. I'm super excited to do this with you guys. Let me double check my sound really quick here. Working just fine. So we're going to get started, and we're in Zephaniah 3. I'm going to try to hold off on doing too much too much going around, because there's something exciting that's going on tonight. One, even if you don't attend my church, your church is probably doing some kind of Good Friday service online, like an online stream or something like that. That's cool. My church is doing a live stream. We're starting it at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to try to cut out of here around 6:50. So we got 50 minutes to go over the third chapter. I tried to get all of my stuff done. That's why I had the standby screen going on. I tried to get everything set up and ready to go so we can jump right in. But 7 o'clock, go to wearecrossing.tv and check out our live stream of our Good Friday service. It's all pre-recorded, so you don't have to worry about us spreading the COVID around and everything like that. But it's there. It's available for you to watch. It's going to be at wearecrossing.tv at 7 o'clock. I'm probably going to be doing a watch party on that. Join me on that. But today, right now, we're going to be doing a live we're going to do our live stream, and we're going to try to finish up Zephaniah chapter 3, which will finish off the entire book of Zephaniah. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on so far in the story. It's right before Babylon is coming to invade. I did a little bit of research, just really quick, just did a little bit of background check and all that. So Josiah is the king right now during this time. Oh man, what did I just do here? Okay, here we go. Oh geez, sorry guys. So Josiah is the king at the moment. The book opens up with saying that. I want to make sure that I'm right here. Yes, Josiah is the king, and apparently he was at war with Egypt at the time. So this was before Babylon had come down. Now Assyria did take over the northern kingdom. So Israel, which was the northern kingdom, so Israel split up into two. You had Israel on the top, you had Judah on the bottom. Judah was where the capital city of Jerusalem was. So you had those, and you had those two different kingdoms, and the Israel was already taken into exile with Assyria. So this Zephaniah was given, this message that the Lord gave Zephaniah was written down, and this was during the time that Josiah was the king over Judah. He was at war with Egypt, and Assyria had conquered the northern kingdom, and this is before the Babylonian exile, so right before the Babylonian conquest. So I can say that Babylon came in from the north. They took over Israel first and then came down and then swept the sides. That's what we talked about yesterday with Zephaniah 2, because Zephaniah 2, so Zephaniah 1 lays out like this warning of judgment that's going to come on Judah. It's going to feel like God is recreating everything. He's getting rid of creation, and he's getting rid of all these pagans and all that. But then chapter 2 goes into specific judgments and everything, specific areas that he's going to judge. And a lot of it was about the coastal cities and the cities on the side. So not just Judah and Jerusalem, but also cities and lands that were on the sides. But it talks about a remnant. It talks about a remnant that's going to take over these coastal lands, and they're going to be able to set up their sheep, their flocks, and everything like that. So let's jump into chapter 3 here, Jerusalem. Let's see. So chapter 3 of Zephaniah, we laid out all that stuff, and then it says, "Beware to the filthy, stained city, the city filled with oppressors." Now, again, there's a lot of talk of other cities here, but I'm going to assume that the Lord's talking about Jerusalem. Now, this is an assumption based on what we read before, which he names off several different cities, right? So he could be talking about these cities, but I think that he's talking about Jerusalem here. Actually, one thing I did was I set up here and I made sure that the notes were all over here. If they're not, then I'll have to go back and forth. But anyway, so here we say on 1:1 right here, the present translation assumes morah is derived from ro'ai, excrement. The following particle stained, so that's filthy. Beware, filthy. Hold on, my phone just did something weird. I want to make sure I'm still streaming. Yeah, I'm still streaming. Okay. So this is just for this word filthy here. So it's basically just saying it kind of means poo poo, is what that word means right there. So beware, filthy, stained city. I'm assuming it's talking about Jerusalem. But again, like we just got done. I mean, we literally just got done talking about these different cities. There was several mentioned here. So the city filled with oppressors. And then now this footnote here, right here, says that the following verses show that Jerusalem, personified as a woman, is the referent. So, because it's talking about she. So I'm assuming, and this is based solely on the footnote, that when it talks about this stained city, we're talking about Jerusalem. So we can assume that this is also talking about Jerusalem. That was a horrible type there. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of point it back up. So that's what we're kind of assuming here, is that this is Jerusalem. Unless something different presents itself, we're going to assume that chapter 3 we're talking about Jerusalem. And even, I mean, you even have this, but these were brought up later. These were brought up later. These little headings and stuff like that. These were all brought up later. So the text wouldn't have gone here first. The text wouldn't even have mentioned this. It would literally just go from, whatever was up here, And it would just go straight down to beware to the filthy stained city. So that's why I was saying I'm not quite sure if it's talking about Jerusalem, but I'm going to assume that it is talking about Jerusalem. She is disobedient. She has not listened. Oh, man. She has not listened to a voice. Refusing to listen is equated with disobedience. So in the Hebrew, it's more specifically that she has not listened to a voice. So she has not listened to a voice. She has refused correction. She has not received correction. The Hebrew phrase, when negated, refers elsewhere to rejecting verbal advice and refusing to learn from experience. So these are kind of go hand in hand with that. These are kind of like not listening to like a voice of reason. She does not trust the Lord. She has not sought the advice of her God. Now, right here, this says in the Hebrew, this term means to draw near. She has not sought the advice of her God. So it's more, she has not drawn near seeking God's will. And then it's giving you a reference here with this kind of the same Hebrew context, the same Hebrew word. So I'd actually like to see what that is. Where are we at here? Oh yeah, I skipped up just to kind of see some stuff here. See her advice. And then it shows this. So Saul said, let's go down after the Philistines at night. We will rout them until the break of day. We won't leave any of them alive. They replied, do whatever seems best to you. But the priest says, let's approach God here. So let's draw near to the Lord, is what they're saying here. And that's what this Hebrew turn of phrase is translated as. I'd actually like to see what the Hebrew phrase is. Like, how is it pronounced and everything. So let's go. And this is just interest to me. This is just super interesting. Again, I'm kind of zipping through this stuff, but again, it's because here at here at 7:00 we're starting a live stream of our Good Friday service, and I really want to be a part of that. So let's see. This is verse 2. She has not drawn near to the Lord. So I'm assuming that it's this word or this. To come near. Yeah, and see, this is low right here. This Hebrew word right here is low. So here we have low, which low means no or not. So no or not, it's kind of like a if we could equate it to something in English, no or un. And this is to draw near. And then see all these little calls. So see all these calls, nifal, pl, chifel. These are different parsings. So this is how the word is going to be used. I'm not quite that advanced in Hebrew verbiage yet, so I don't really know what those are. I don't know how to properly identify them yet. So those are verb parsings. Different types of verbs, but we can assume here that it's just this to come near, to approach, and that word, how to pronounce that word is kareva. I said kareva, right? Yeah, so you have kof, and then that has a comets underneath it. And then you have a resh. Kare. Is that a hey? Yep. Whoa. And you have a hey. So this is kind of the ka. Then you have ray. And then these two are va. So low kareva. She has not sought her advice or has not drawn near. Hold on one second. All right, I'm back. All right, that was Nikki. Nikki, love her. Gotta love her. Hold on, now I gotta reset stuff here. All right, so here we go. Where are we at here? So right here, verse 2, she has not sought after advice. She does not draw near. Does not draw near. Her princes are fierce as roaring lions. This says it's a translation, a better translation, or it can be translated as officials. So her officials are as fierce as roaring lions. Her princes in her midst are roaring lions. The metaphor has been translated as a simile, as fierce as, and then what does it say? As roaring lions, fierce as roaring lions. And then this says, the metaphor has been translated as a simile, as fierce as, for clarity. So the Hebrew is actually, her princes in her midst are roaring lions, and then the NET added as fierce as, just for clarity. Her princes are roaring lions. Her princes are as fierce as roaring lions. Her rulers, and this is traditionally judges, are as hungry as wolves in the desert. In the Hebrew, her judges are wolves of the evening. That is, wolves that prowl at night. The translation assumes an emendation to Arava, or desert, for a discussion of this and other options, and then it gives you kind of like, here, see some other stuff. The metaphor has been translated as a simile, as hungry for clarity. So this, so it's really just to translate it directly, you would just say her princes are roaring lions, and her rulers are wolves in the desert. So they added those. These were added by the NET just to give it a little bit more clarity. Yeah. See, it's kind of unnecessary because look, who completely devour their prey by morning. So her princes are roaring lions. Her rulers are wolves in the desert who completely devour their prey by morning. They do not gnaw a bone at morning. That's the precise meaning of the line is unclear. The statement may mean these wolves devour their prey so completely that not even a bone is left to gnaw by the time morning arrives. For a discussion of this, and then it gives you this this book right here by Adele Berlin. So you see here, though, that they do not gnaw at morning. Let's see. So verse 4, her prophets are proud. They are deceitful men. This is pretty straightforward so far. Her priests have defiled what is holy. Let's see, I don't have the footnote for that one. These priests defile what is holy, is not observing the proper distinctions between what is ritually clean and unclean. And then it talks about Ezekiel. Her priests abuse my law and have desecrated my holy things. They do not distinguish between the holy and the profane, or recognize any distinction between the unclean and the clean. They ignore my Sabbaths, and I am profaned in their midst. So we can assume that her prophets are proud. And then the footnote again in 11. What does that say? what did it say in her? Probably prefers that our dynasty and passing off their own words as genuine prophecies from the Lord. Oh, this is what I was actually talking about. Her priests have defiled what is holy, and so it's basically just kind of they don't observe what's holy. They defile the temple because they don't distinguish between what's holy and not holy. And if you look at the laws that were set up in, like Exodus or Leviticus specifically, it talks about what's holy and unholy and what the distinctions are between the two. And so here it can be said here that the priests have defiled what is holy, talking about just bringing things into the temple, but not distinguishing between the holy and the unholy. I'm literally just kind of repeating what's been said, but it kind of gives me a clarity of what that is. Let's see. They have broken God's law. The just Lord resides within her. He commits no unjust acts. So let me see here. So I already pulled, like I said, I did a little bit of work before I started the stream, so I already pulled this stuff up. So here we go. The Lord resides within her, and this is 14. Resides is supplied for clarification. So this is almost not needed. So the Lord probably is in her, talking about the city of Jerusalem. So it's more of, it resides or dwells in her. He commits no unjust acts. He does no. I hate when I like do that weird. Like I do a weird note here. He does no injustice. Every morning he reveals his justice, gives or dispenses his justice. At dawn he appears without fail. Yet the unjust know no shame. I think a lot of this is pretty straightforward. Like this is just kind of going. Like we kind of like if you look at like chapter 1 was all about the warning, the warning and the opportunity, right? Or actually no, 2 is kind of more, I would say the opportunity. And then we go into chapter 2, and chapter 2 is a little bit more specific about the warning. Actually, I type a lot better, apparently. So specific. So it's a little bit more specific about this, and it kind of lays out. It's more. It's more than just Judah, right? That's what we gathered from yesterday. But now in chapter 3, it's kind of talking about, it's just this kind of, this juxtaposition. I think that's how you spell it, juxtaposition. But it's kind of this juxtaposition between Israel, aka Judah. It's this juxtaposition between Judah and God. God that resides, or that's supposed to reside there. That's what I see so far. I want to put here supposed to reside in her. Because see here, you got like every morning he reveals his justice. He commits no justice. At dawn he appears without fail. Yet the unjust show no shame. So like he's there. Like he's there. He's there. He's not, he doesn't do anything that needs to be hidden. Like he's there and he's open. Let's see. So now let's go down to 6. I destroyed nations. Their walled cities are in ruins. I turned their streets into ruins. No one passes through them. Their cities are desolate. No one lives there. I thought, certainly you will respect me. Now you will accept correction. If she has done so, her home would not be destroyed by all the punishments I have threatened. It's pretty straightforward. So far, chapter 3 has been pretty straightforward. Like, I think if I were to try to go into it deeper and try to find some deeper thing out of it, like it would be kind of useless because it's pretty self-explanatory right there, I thought, certainly you will respect me. And of course, it's this word fear. And everybody wants to say, it's not like fear as in being afraid, but it's fear as in respecting kind of thing. Now you will accept correction. If she had done so, her home would not be destroyed. This is kind of cool. Destroyed, but it's, this word cut off. Let's take a look at that. What is this, 25? 25, and it says in the Hebrew it's cut off. So this is Zephaniah 3. And then what verse is that? 7. 3 verse 7. The punishment I brought on them would not be lost on her. Oh. I like this one. Zephaniah, so if we go back to verse 4, what it talks about her prophets are, what did it say? Her prophets are proud, they are deceitful men. Her priests have defiled what is holy. And in here it talks about her prophets are reckless. So this is the word prophets right here. Yeah. And the reason I know that one is because the Hebrew Bible is split up into, you have the Torah, the Ketuvim, and the Nevi'im. And Ketuvim is writings, and Nevi'im is prophets. So in the Hebrew, this word right here is Nevi'im. Actually, this isn't Nevi'im. This is just Nevi'icha. I think that's how you pronounce that. But then you have this word right here. And this word is to be wanton, to be reckless, to be frothy, to be reckless. That's a cool thing there. So let's go back a little bit. Maybe because again, it's clear what's going on, but like, the wording is kind of different. The prophets are proud. And really, it's talking about this, like, they're reckless. They're wanton is what it said in Zephaniah. It's this recklessness, this wantonness. It's not, because it doesn't necessarily mean proud. Yes, it's proud, but they're just kind of reckless in the sense that they just don't take into consideration anything. And I think that kind of solidifies that next little bit more. They're proud. They're not proud, but they're reckless. And then the translation here is they're faithless fellows. What is that? What is that word? What is this one? What is that one? Man. Treacherous. So this is so NET is a little bit they're deceitful. They're treacherous. They're reckless. They're treacherous. And this says that if I was holy, but then here it says her priests profane what is holy. Kadosh, that's holy. And then to profane. Really? Wow. This is interesting right here because you have so you have this word right here, right? And if you don't know Hebrew, this word that I've got highlighted. If you don't know Hebrew, you don't know what I'm getting at. You know, and that's okay. That's okay. Because, I mean, you know, I'm learning Hebrew, so I wouldn't have known this, you know, a year or two ago. But if you look at this word right here, this word is pronounced Hilelu. 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 What does that remind you of? Hallelu. So this is Hilelu, which here it talks about this was halal, which is to profane, defile, pollute, desecrate. Let me see if I can open up another Zephaniah here, Zephaniah, and look up, you know, the other word and see how close they are. Hallelujah. I'm trying to think of like a psalm that says like hallelujah, or just like hallelujah, like Psalms. Hallelujah, Psalm 150. So let's just go to that and let's just take a look at this. Psalm 150. 150. Because see, this is hallelujah. See that? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Or Hilelu. This is Hilelu. That is Hallelu. Hilelu. Hallelu. So that's interesting to me. So I'm gonna. So you have he lay lu. So he lay lu. And this is to defile. But then you have ha, right? I just want to see if I'm doing that right. Ha, nope. So ha lay lu. I don't know why I'm capitalizing it. Ha lay lu. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Hallelujah. Let's go over here. Oh, I feel like everything is breaking on me. To shine. To flash, forth light. To praise. To praise. Look at that. Wow. Her priests have Hilelu, Kodesh, and Kodesh is this word right here, which is holy. Kodesh. Hilelu Kodesh. So for me, it's because that word is so close to Hallelu. Because I mean, like Hallelu Kodesh is praising what is holy, but you have Hilelu, which is to defile what is holy. They profane is the way that Zephaniah. I like that. I really. I like profane, because then you have profane, and then you have praise, and it's that juxtaposition that I'm talking about. It's that juxtaposition. Hilelu, hallelu, profane, and then praise. That's deep. That's deep. Let's see. If she had done so, her home would not be. We're back. I'm going back to verse 7 here. I only have a few. Well, I have about 20 minutes left here. If she had done so, her home would not be destroyed and then cut off. That's that's what I wanted to see. But what caught my eye, and this is what caught my eye, just so if everybody knows. So we're in 3, verse 7. I thought you will respect me, and I thought she would fear me, would learn a lesson, and that the punishment I brought on them would not be lost on her. Instead, all the more eagerly they have practiced corruption in all their deeds. What is this one? I thought, certainly you will respect me, and you will accept correction. If she had done so, her home would not be destroyed. Would not be lost on her. I gotta find it. Which where's that? Okay, to cut off right here. Huh. Yeah, this version kind of it translates it weird, because this is like she wouldn't have. This is saying would not have been cut off from her dwelling. That's what this is saying. But the way that this is translated, would not be lost on her. The punishment that I brought would not be lost on her. But it said, if she had done so, her home would not have been destroyed by all the punishments that I've threatened, but they eagerly sinned in everything they did. And it's so funny. Because here it's like a singular, and of course it's here it's talking about Israel or Judah, right? But then here it talks about they, so it goes into plural. I wonder if it does that in the Hebrew. They have practiced corruption. All? Is that what it is? All wantonness. Call. All which So I wonder if they put they plural here because it's what did I say it was in the Hebrew call. So I wonder if because it's or kol, and that just means all. So I wonder if they went from this singular to this plural, and it even happens in the Hebrew because of, or at least I think that they did that because they think that it's going that direction with this Hebrew word here, and so that's why they went plural. Therefore, you must wait patiently. See, there it goes. Well, no, this is also, this could be singular or plural. Therefore, you must wait patiently for me, says the Lord, for the day when I attack and take plunder. So now he's going back to the judgment. He goes back to talking about the judgment again. I have decided to gather nations together and assemble kingdoms so I can pour out my fury on them, all my raging anger, for the whole earth will be consumed by my fiery rage. And of course, we know that, like, in English, like the whole earth, we know that's not really what it's talking about, because God's going to use Babylon to inflict judgment on Judah. So he's not getting rid of Babylon yet. He's getting rid of Judah. He's getting rid of he's getting rid of all the surrounding cities of Judah by Babylon. So what is in verse 31? Is that what that means? Certainly. So let's go back here. For, or certainly. And then it says here, the whole earth will be consumed by my fiery anger. But is that what it said in the Hebrew? But wait for me, says the Lord, for the day when I arise as an accuser. What did it say here? Therefore, wait patiently for me, says the Lord, for the day when I attack and take plunder. For when I arise as a... What is this word here? Oh, yeah. Arise. Judgment. Burning. When I arise. So this isn't a good translation. This is not a good translation. But to come and destroy everything, that's a good one. When I decide to gather nations, to bring kingdoms together, to pour out my indignation on them, all by blazing, indeed, my fiery passion, all of the earth. What is... Well, that's not Adama. This is Eretz. Haaretz. Call. Haaretz. All the land. That's why I like saying the land over the earth, or the world. So this is talking about, so he's talking about certainly all the land will be consumed by my fiery anger. All the land. And the land can definitely be talking about just Judah, just a few places like that. Let's see. So, Nikki, what did you just say? Be lost on something. To have little or no impact or effect on something. To not be valued, appreciated, or understood by someone. What word? What is that? What is that? I don't know. Say it in the comments below. I'm not really following what you're talking about. But anyways, for the whole earth will be consumed, and it's talking about all the land. All the land will be consumed by fiery rage. So now we'll go into 9. And again, I think this is pretty straightforward. There's little nuggets in there. There's little nuggets, and it's like, whoa, that's a lot deeper than what's being portrayed here in the English and the NET. And I don't know if any other versions are better or say more, say the same thing, but I don't think they will, because would you have gotten where'd it go? Would you have gotten this hallelujah from that? No, I don't think so. So let's go here, verse 9. Let's see. So verse 7, Nikki, you're talking about verse 7. Let's go back to it. Oh boy. I'll just go back to it here. Verse 7. Oh, yeah. So right here it said would be lost on, to have little or no impact or effect on something. To be yeah. But the thing is that's not what it's not saying. Would be lost on her. It's actually saying more. Would be destroyed. That's literally what it's saying here. I think it's actually right in here. If she was not cut off from her habitation. If she was not cut off from where she lived, is that verse. What Zephaniah is saying here, and that the punishment I brought on them would not be lost on her. Now will you accept if she had done so, and that the punishment I brought on them would not be lost on her. So if she would have to take on, if she would have accepted, that's kind of what that's saying. If she if she would have feared and drawn near and taken correction and discipline, she would not have been cut off. She would not have been cut off from her home, is what it's saying. That's the literal word for word translation for verse 7. Which I know I have it here somewhere. It's here somewhere. But I don't want to mix up all my stuff. Actually, let's go here. Oh, here we go. She would not. Yeah. So it would be better. It's a better translation. It's a better translation to say if she would have accepted my correction. If she had done so, her home would not be destroyed. To be honest, this is just saying she would not be cut off from her dwelling. And this could mean, because what we know is that Babylon comes in and exiles, does 3 waves of exiling people of Israel. So Babylon comes in and it takes the people of Israel. So, and she's cut off from that land, like she's taken away. So that could be a better translation, and that's part of the punishment, not necessarily that because the city was destroyed completely, but a better translation would be that Jerusalem or Israel was cut off from the land that she dwelled in. And then it talks about how God dwells in Israel, and then how she's cut off from that dwelling. That's actually a really good insight. That's really a really good insight because in these verses in 5 it talks about how God dwells there, and then in verse 7 it talks about how the people of Israel, Judah, that's left there is cut off from that dwelling place. I think that has a pretty good deep impact. That's a pretty deep impact. It's a movie. It has a good impact to it. That's a good observation. I think the question for clarity was actually good. Like that was a good ask for clarity, because I think it just brings more depth to it a little bit for that translation. So let's go here in verse 9. Know for sure what I will then enable. Know for sure what I will enable the nations to give me acceptable for. Know for sure that I will then enable the nations to give me acceptable praise. What is this? Certain then I will restore the nations a pure lip. I will then enable the nations to give me acceptable praise. This apparently refers to a time when the nations will reject their false idol gods and offer genuine praise to the one true God. This is 9. For then I will make the peoples pure of speech, so that they will invoke the Lord by the name and serve him with one accord. All of them will invoke the Lord's name when they pray, and will worship him in unison. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, and Ethiopia is mentioned before too, or Nubia, Cush, is traditionally assumed to refer to the region south of Egypt, i.e. Nubia, northern Sudan. Hey, Nikki. This actually may be the reason that Ethiopia may be brought up a lot, is because, again, like what I was saying, was that Judah was actually at war with Egypt, and if Egypt is south, or if Ethiopia is south of Egypt, that could be a region that was included in this. And because we hear about this in chapter 2, it talks about the destruction of Ethiopia, and it could just or the Ethiopians, and that could be a mention to Egypt, maybe. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, those who pray to me, my dispersed people. So apparently I need to read this book, because because they keep mentioning her as far as like getting some more info on this. Those who pray to me, my dispersed people, will bring me tribute. And then let's see, verse 11. In that day you will not be ashamed of all your rebelliousness against me. The second person verbs and pronouns are feminine singular, indicating that personified Jerusalem is addressed here. That's in that day you. I guess that's this one right here is singular, which is just a personified of all your boasting. For then I will move from your midst those who are proudly boast, and you will never again be arrogant on my holy hill. So I guess this is talking about kind of, know for sure I will then enable the nations to give me acceptable praise. It's kind of lost when you kind of go in a bunch of different directions and then you try to go back into it. So I destroyed cities, their walled nations, or the walled cities are in ruins. I turned their streets into ruins. No one passes through them. Their cities are desolate. No one lives there. I thought, certainly you will respect me. Now you accept correction. Now you will accept correction. If she had done so, her home would not be destroyed, or she would not be cut off from her dwelling place by all the punishments I have threatened. But they eagerly sinned in everything they did. Therefore you must wait patiently for me, says the Lord. For the day when I attack and take plunder, I have decided to gather nations together and assemble kingdoms, so I can pour out my fury on them, all my raging anger, for the whole earth will be consumed by my fiery anger. Know for sure that I will then enable the nations to give me acceptable praise. All of them will invoke the Lord's name when they pray and will worship him in unison. And we know that that doesn't happen yet. From beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, those who pray to me, my dispersed people, will bring me tribute. In that day will not be ashamed of all rebelliousness against me, for then I will remove from your midst those who are proudly boast, and you will never again be arrogant on my holy hill. I think this is just kind of like a promise, you know? It's like this promise to come. And if you were to, I'm sure if you were someone from Judah, and you, because this was probably given to them before the exile, so they're hearing all this and they're like, yeah. But then reading it in the exile, they would probably think that this is like a something that's going to happen soon, kind of like things that happen now. We think that they're going to happen soon, you know. But these promises to come, like all this right here, we know that they're not fulfilled for a really long time. Let's keep going here. Verse 12, I will leave in your midst a humble and meek group of people. So he's talking about after all of the judgment that's going to come, it's going to weed out evil. And they will find safety in the Lord's presence. Now again, we see that this Lord's presence, and what does it say in the footnotes here? And they will take refuge in my name. And see, what I like about this is in verse 3, or in chapter 3 so far, we've seen a lot of references to dwelling places. You have you have God, and God is like within Israel. But then God talks about how Israel's cut off, and then it talks about these new people will find these new people. I'll put PPL. These new people will find their refuge in God, you know, or find their refuge find their dwelling places within God. I think that's kind of cool. It's just kind of this cool refrain that's coming through these verses. The Israelites who remain will not act deceitfully. They will not lie, and a deceitful tongue will not be found in their mouths. Indeed, they will graze peacefully like sheep and lie down. This sounds a lot like what we heard the other day. And they will lie down, and they will find safety in the Lord's presence. So this kind of reminds me of Psalm 23 again. Whenever I hear like lie down, I think of like lying down in green pastures and lying down. And this talks about we'll find safety in the Lord's presence. I mean, how much more we got here? We got a pretty good ways to go, guys. So I might cut this off now because, again, I want to go and watch the service for Good Friday. So that's what I'm going to do. So what we'll do is we'll pick back up right here in verse 13. We'll pick it back up. tomorrow, right here. Or actually, tomorrow's Saturday, so let's not do that. Let's do what we'll do is we'll come back Monday. We'll come back Monday. Monday is the what, 13th? I think, or the 12th. The 13th. So we'll come back Monday the 13th, and we'll finish Zephaniah 3b. Monday the 13th at 6 p.m. All right, guys. I just want to tell everybody how much I appreciate them. I appreciate you guys for sticking in there and watching my streams, and I really hope that you're enjoying this. If you want the notes from today, again, I'll put them on my Facebook page. But if you text me or direct message me or whatever and ask me, I'll send them to you as well. There, some really good insights. I want to kind of sit on them for a little bit, because if you know me and you've watched my streams for a while, on the other ones, you see me going back and forth on them, and then I just get more and more insights. And even just that question that Nikki asked me, just for that clarification piece, just that little clarification piece, kind of added just a deeper insight, and I thought that was cool. It kind of added this refrain of dwelling places and dwelling in. And I thought that was cool. It was a deep insight. And so, guys, we'll reconvene again Monday the 13th, and we'll continue Zephaniah 3. I'm going to call it B, and we'll start with verse 13. Oh, verse 13 on the 13th. Verse 13 on the 13th. All right, guys. Love you guys. Talk to you later. See ya. Peace.